The workplace of Bellison Multidimension Limited at Old Olori Road, Onishapa Village in Moro Local Government Area, Kwara State. A 17.5 hectares of land mass with stone deposit large enough to last for at least a century.
Bellison Quarry is a very large company, and they said that's why we have it multidimensional. But majorly what we focus on now is quarry business. And what we do in quarry business is that we blast rock, then the machine crush it to usable sizes, like half-inch, three-quarter, dust. And sometimes the hardcore part of it is also used. That is the first level of the grinding. It's also used, so that's why we call it hardcore. The majorly half-inch is used for casting. Then we have what we call stone base. That's the mixture of three-quarter with dust. Is used for patching road, the mixing with tar. Then the three-quarter is used for beam and lintels. You know, some people use it for casting as well, but it's not as that strong as using the half-inch. What it does is use in modify interlockings, paving stones, and so on and so forth. The hardcore is used in laying, for majorly for filling station and some other maybe warehouse where it's going to carry heavy loads.
Okay, this deposit could last us for like 100 to 80 to 100 years. We have about 2.5 metric tons of aggregate that we can get from the deposit.
A major requirement in the real estate sector, granite, is however not the only product that can be derived from here when one examines the quality of the residue.
As soon as we break even in what we're doing right now, we're going to look at doing granite slabs from our product. Because we have a very good aggregate, as you said, the crystalline shapes and all that. It's one of the qualities of a good granite slab. So we're going to look at it as soon as we break even.
For now, Bellison is in the process of finding its feet, but it has engaged about 30 individuals, a number much less than it used to require in its first 3 years of operation.
We've been in the business for the past 4 years. We've been operating manual labor. What I mean by that, we use hand to crush the stones. But now we're using the plant, we're using the machine. When we're using the hands, we're producing like 10, 20 tons per hour. But now we're doing like 80 to 100 tons per hour with the new plant.
Today, machine and professionalism dictate the work process.
The process can be categorized into 4. First of all is drilling of holes. You have to drill holes before you can blast, which blasting is second processing. And the blasting you have to use 4 materials. Before you can blast, you have to get permit from the federal mines officers and the state. Having given you the permission, you contact the police, then you talk to the SSS. When they give you permission to go ahead, then you carry out the blasting. And you do that with certified blaster, majorly professional, and register with some other companies, which that's stage 2. The stage 3 is feeding. Feeding is carrying the material from the pits to the crusher, because you have to site your crusher a little bit closer, but not closer to your pits because of vibrations. So then you must have a lot of dump trucks. First of all, you use an excavator to load it from the pits into your dump truck, and you feed the machine, because your feeding capacity will determine the output you are going to make. Like our machine here, we used to work like 120 tons per hour. But for us to get the actual results of that kind of 120 tons per hour, we must have feeding capacity of 80%. So we have to site our machine a little bit closer to our pits. So that's the start stage. The last stage is the crushing. Primarily, you have 2 points of crushing. The first one is what we call the jaw crusher, that will crush the big stone. No matter the moment the stone can enter from the feeder, it will crush it. Then it will now move it to the secondary crusher, which we call cone crushers. The concussion do it, it's now separate it into different sizes. That is where you now have the half-inch, three-quarter, then the dust. But from the first base, there is kind of a leftover, which as a result of maybe slacking of the rubbers and so on and so forth. So still people use it. We call it 1 inch. It's a little bit bigger than 3/4. And in the place of 3/4, people still use 1 inch.
With the increase in production comes equipment expenses, which has been assisted by the Bank of Industry.
I was lucky to get an equipment from China, Shanghai Joya Machineries in China, and the expatriate came to install the machines and they put through our workers and how to operate it.
You have to maintain it. You can see people are working on it, because even the very minor stone just enter the wrong channel, the machine will stop. You just be burning diesel, the production will be slow. So you have to stop the production and remove that stone. So then you must have an expert. If you don't have experts working on your machine, you are going to face a lot of problems, because one problem will lead to another. So when you have the experts, that will be residential. Not, you have to be paying, you must be on your payroll, because problem can develop anytime. You want to change mess, there can be tear in the what they call it, the motor. So you must have electrical experts, mechanical experts. At the same time, you have some quashers that are seasoned laborers in the quarry business, because they have the experience. So with that, you have to be checking it every day. Before you start the machine in the morning, you have to grease where you need to be greased. You check your net, make everything is okay. Because the problem with quarry per se, diesel does not have control. It burns slower but faster sometimes. If the machine is rolling and the output is not that much, you'll be burning diesel. Most times we consume nothing less than diesel worth of 5 million naira in a month, and the output must be commensurate.
There's also the challenge of availability of skilled workers.
It's not very easy running a quarry in Nigeria because of the financial involvement. To own a quarry, you need a lot of millions to do it. And human resources as well, because it involves a lot of skilled laborers, and we're not having that. You have to put your workers into a lot of training before you could break even. There are some that are very keen about the jobs, and they are learning very fast. And if at the end of the day one of them can prop up and said, okay, I could operate excavator, I could do a payloader that the skilled laborers are doing, we don't mind.
With production level placed at 80%, Bellison says there's enough market for all.
More on how Kwara State can be more friendly to investors and how entrepreneurial programs can be more effective. The Chief Executive of the state, Abdul Fattah Ahmed, lets us in on the game plan.
The issue of creating a platform for growing private enterprises has been something we started with at inception, because we recognized that we had so many youths lying out there without much to get them busy with. More often than not, you see them largely available for issues they are not designed to be for. In recognition of that, we firstly structured our Ministry of Education into Education and Human Capital Development to create room to capture that sector of the training program that is not under the formal education system. We recognize the fact that quite a number of people are learning skills, and because they are not structured to to be able to fit into the society.